Okay. All right. Good morning. We are in Siman Tzadik, Sif Beis of Dinei Chal. I just wanted to explain a few last things in Sif Aleph. First of all, in the Ramah was a bit unclear when he says that it is machlokes between the Mechaber and the Ramah about Rambam and the Rashba. About do we say Chaticha Nasis Nevela by an Isser D'Rabbanan? Right? The Mechaber says no, unless but the Ramah says we do because if it fell into the next pot, then we need shishim excluding it. The Rashba himself, Pashtus holds that if it was cooked by itself, then it's not Nasis Nevela. Only if it's cooked. We're not machmir. If it's only cooked by itself, then we're not machmir, and that's Nasis Nevela. The Ramah, on the other hand, Pirgadim points out, we'll see in Sif Beis, is machmir like Rashi that even by itself is is aser. He says yesh lodim if that's what the Ramah means over here, or he'd be makel anyway. He's a little bit unclear. So I want to explain a couple more nakudos of Tichanas Nevela. And the one more nakuda called Efshar L'Sochto Aser, which really in the Gemara Toysis brings up the Kuheger. I think it's important as we go through the next number of Simanim that the question, the way the Taz sets up machlokes between the Rambam and the Rashba is a different machlokes about that. That the question is why is it why do we mishayir with the kal? Why do we mishayir shishim with it? So the Rambam says because we're making it's the Rabbanan, so we're making. The Rashba says that no, that it's that the issue is that the problem the Rashba has is that we don't know if if it went, if it went from the, it's called Nasis Nevela because we don't know if we got all the milk out. When you cooked it the first time, it could be there's milk left. We don't know how much milk of all the milk actually came out. So therefore, we're choshish that there's still milk inside, hidden milk, and then you put it in another pot, and we don't know. It's the same deal. So, the question could be phrased as this: that the idea of efshar l'sochto asler, that even if you could go ahead and you have basar b'cholav or you have blias iser in a pot full of other stuff, do we say even if you be able to go ahead and squeeze every drop of iser out of it, like it would spread out over everything, it's still asler. Now, there's two possible reasons. Either because there's the idea, I think the Rambam is mashma like this, is that there's a chalos iser on the actual meat. Meaning, if you look under a microscope at the meat, you would see little molecules of iser. Meaning, it itself is, or if you had, baba, whatever, look at it and be mafkid. Oh yeah, there's iser here. Whatever, it's tuma.
It's not it's still there.
Yeah. Well, no. It's efshar l'sochto means you're able to get everything out, but there's a chalos iser on the actual meat.
Explain the vehicle of the iser becomes possible.
Okay. Right. The Rashba's mashma that, and the Tosis is mashma. That's also that it's efshar l'sochto. The question is efshar l'sochto. Efshar l'sochto also means it's basically the efshar l'sochto. We don't know if it's you're really able to get every single thing out. So therefore that's what creates chaticha nasis nevela is that we don't know if we got everything out. And that's what the Rashba holds over here. And
they are what the Machaber talked about squeezing it against the wall.
No, that's saying that's before you cooked it, and we'll get into that in Sif Beis. We're going to Sif Beis. I'm just laying the Yisod, but Chal, it's a little bit different because since it's the Rabbanan, and since you mishayir, mishayir with the basar. So that's the Machlokes Rambam and the Rashba, the Rambam and Ramah, about whether it is Nasis Nevela. Because the Rashba says it is Nasis Nevela because we don't, they both agree that that there's no Chalos Isser on the actual meat. The question the Rashba says, we say Nasis Nevela by Durabanans because maybe you didn't get everything out. Whereas the Rambam, the question is there chalos isser? And by the Rabbanan, there's no chalos isser. So we assume everything came out, but it doesn't. But it doesn't. Even if not everything came out, but since there's no the meat itself stays heter, it's just maybe the milk didn't come out. So that by chal at least by shari surim. So then we're not makel. We say no, the meat itself becomes aser. We'll see about tipas chalav and sali beis and. We'll see as we go through that this is a nafkamina, and also in Tarevis about is Efshar the Sochto. Is it Efshar the Sochto Aser, or way I say it, or Efshar the Sochto Aser? Meaning, is it the question is Efshar the Sochto, or is the question is it Aser? That's why I usually say it. But Al Kopanim, like Chal, it's a bit more makel. Is more like the way the Taz sets it up. Akopanim is that like the Rambam that there's no nasis nevela. Again, he says straight. If it falls into the second kedera by regular tipas chalav, the meat is aser, and then you have to mashar in the whole meat, not how much milk fell in. By case of kachal, then we use the meat to mevatel the milk. And even in the second pot, it fell into a second pot, we still use the meat to mevatel the milk.
Even though the Mahabi uses the term nasik and tifah,
yeah, it doesn't really
it
right.
doesn't mean that that's hanam.
Right, because otherwise, why would you use the meat itself? He says it falls into a separate thing. The meat itself you can use, right? Then the Lashon is a little bit misleading and economic. The sif base. Nagu shelo levashlim basar klal. The minig and the ma'isa l'chachila is you don't cook it at all than anything else. So levashel below basar. In other words, should you cook it at all? Betigun or pashtida. Levashel below basar. If you want to cook it by itself, betigun you want to fry it up, or pashtida you want to go ahead and cook it in a dough. Matzvichin kriya shtiv erev beticha b'koisel. Then we need if you go ahead and to cut it open and squeeze it out. Tzli, kriya shtiv erev. You don't, but tzli, since it pulls all the liquid out, so therefore even not just dam, but even chalav. So therefore you just need to open it up so that the juices can be the eish can pull out the milk. Haga v'ava b'shloi. If you cooked it in karush tiver tachal b'koisel yesh lahater. If you did the prescribed method and you squeeze it out yesh lahater b'diavad, it's okay. B'makom hefsa meruba. Oh, b'lava ein lahater. We shouldn't be matter like Shitas Rashi. Ramaz makron chachila like Rashi. Umashinagu l'koro l'chotchol kan pamim. Shider erev al pnei kula. You cut it up. You chop. You obviously if you chop it up into bits, chop it up. That'll be fine. But if you just make a bunch of cuts in it all over, that's the minig. Aldif mahani yoiser meticha b'koisel. That's better because then it'll come out much more. But the tzli nogin chachila koshtiver meticha b'koisel. Even the chachila by tzli. No, to cut it open and squeeze it out. Miu im avar b'tzaloi. Afilu below kriya shari in nitzah l'chub lo basar imo. Because then we say that again, like I said, that the eish pulls all the fire pulls all the juices out. Even if it's not opened up, we see it before it dry. All the juices come out. Vim nitzla in basar imo. But if you roasted it together, on the kebab or whatever, together with other meat, im nikra shtir v'tachal b'koisel shteim mutarim. If you went ahead and you cut it, then and tachal b'koisel and you squeezed it out, and they're mutter. In love, ha'el mutter v'tachtan oser. If not, if it's on top of it, then since we are chash to ask the call also, so the top one's mutter, the bottom one we say is boleya. Ve'ein boleya of isur d'Rabbanan. Ve'ein les or shneim. But we can't ask for both of them sharing this hapich hashiput. We don't say, well, maybe you flipped it. Right? We don't do that. Chashash, the b'di'evet lo machzakin in Yisura, it's by Durabbanans, or b'di'evet, we're not machzik Yisur. Aval chachila ein letzloso in basar kal, it's better not to do it at all, not to roast it at all with other meat. The k'deira below basar, no'ogim bo Isser chachila, and again, for k'deira, we paskin like Rashi, the chachila, like we said before, that you shouldn't cook it by itself. Huadin letagin, afilu below basar, and to fry it even without meat, we also aser because tigun is in the case of Lisba Isser Beheter, it was a din of bishul, or at least l'chachila by hilchos bracha, by hilchos ben kusam ches by hilchos mezonos and things or whatever. There's a discussion about it. Akapanim by Yisur Machmir, l'chachila. At least by kchal, by other yisurim in the so we will machmir that's bishul. But feel nisyabish kchal, and even if you let the kchal, the other, dry out, it's still we still the chachila don't do it. Vim avar ubishloi b'kdera levado, after it dried out, if you cooked it b'di'evet mutter if you cut it open and you squeeze it out. Miu in the siyabsha, the hayla achar shloshim yom, if you let it dry out for 30 days. Im avar or bishul feel im basar mutter b'di'evet, because we say that the milk evaporated. Lasos pashtida, to make knish or barekas, depending on what country you're in. I mean a kchal below basar. If you didn't put any other meat in, hanagu boheter, then it's okay. If you didn't fry it, cook it in a machvas with oil. So the machvas dino kamo bishul b'kdeira, but in a frying pan, we consider it bishul. And consider it bishul like a kdeira. Yesh prushim hamachmirim b'kol pashtida, and they're tzadiki and prushim who won't eat b'kol pashtida, any pashtida imlo nisyabish chal tchila, if you didn't, unless you dried it out, because again there's blias in the, like we had by dam, there's blias in the pashtida. We had it in was it ayin or ayin zayin. That it's blias in the dough. Yesh machmirin sholafos pashtida chal in shalbasa batan or katan. There's a shaila of reicha. You shouldn't cook it in the same small oven. Rakesh haniach echad b'fi tanur. You have to put one, like you have to open the oven, or the ovens weren't open. You have to put it near the vent, or near near the open door. So v'zar chachila. It's better to do that. But again, it's even as the Rabbanan. But again, even with all these things, these are all harchakos from eating basar b'cholav, and they're all okay to be machmir. Sif Gimel muter lachtich chal roseach v'saket shechat l'chaskol b'basar. You can cut, even though usually we say you can't take a fleshik knife and cut hot. You can't put it into hot milk, even for hot milk to Rabbana, and it was similar, the same problem, right? If you would cook chicken in milk and then take the milk, stick fleshik knife in the hot milk, you would have a problem. But muter lachach chal roseach v'saket b'basar, you can go ahead and take a fleshik knife and cut chal, kosh ken chal chai, and of course chal chai. Avabi shehi melei cholav. It's not, since we're not machmir. We're not machmir on this on the milk of the chal to machshav it like to asa the knife. V'chein muter lachtach basar b'sakin shechatzchu bo chal, or if you cut chal, doesn't make the knife into basar b'cholav. V'chein adin le'echel zeh b'kli she'achla bo zeh. You can eat chal. Chal is nechshav fleshiks. It's not. That's the point. It's bisari. It's not considered. It's not considered milchiks. Just if you cook it, whatever, there's milk to Rabbanan, it comes out, but Akopanim, and by Chal, it's not, the milk in the Chal is not considered Chalavi. Hagav, who are in Litzlai Zeb Shipud, Shitzalu Bozeh, you can use the same Shipud. Who are in the Mutter, Nicha Bakara, in Basar Tzli, Hirushneim Chamein, you can put it, unlike, if you can't put cheese or other Isurim in a plate with a different hot piece of meat, but by Chal you can do that. After you roasted it, again, like we said before, even the chachila, you should, whatever, do whatever you do, but if you're tzaylit, then it's the same din, it's not going to answer the other piece of meat. But dafka shenitzla kedinoi, that's as long as you cut it open and you squeezed it out. But if you roasted it without cutting it, or kriya muetes, so you didn't do a shtiv erev, but you just you just sliced it or poked it, whatever. Called asuri, and then the chachila it's also to put it together in a flishik plate. But the eved a kol mutter. Again, by the evidence mutter ve'im karuhu kedina. If you did proper kriya, v'tzalo, and you roasted it, afal pisha motza achakach guma yitzmelei chalav. Let's say you cut it open and suddenly it pops out, it squirts out a bunch of milk. Ain't lachush, don't worry about it. You did your hishtala, it's like by dam, and we say that, and we say we can see either we say the fact that it's not parush like by dam, then that's not nachshav. We don't not machshav that milk, and it's fine. If you didn't cut it, but it's whole, im chelbo yom shalem mutter. Even if you left the chal to sit for a day, we don't. Even though often if if you have milk and a little bit with meat, obviously we say kavish k'mavushal. If you left it for 24 hours, it's going to aser it. The shaila of any liquid, how much liquid you need to go ahead and create kavish k'mavushal. Even if you have a little bit of I saw a discussion. You have condensation on the outside of something. Is that considered? Can you say kavush on that? I don't know, but al kol panim, we'll get into that later. But al kol panim, we don't say kavush with the milk inside the chal. Obviously, if it's sitting in other milk, that's a different story. Like if you cook chal with other milk, then like stam milk, then it would be basar b'chalav. That's it's pasha.
So practically known as chal.
No one, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure who knows? I don't know. You have to go to, I'm sure you have to ask certain communities. I don't know. I never heard of it, and but whatever. Daled litzlois chal olamocho in habasar. Do you know kinslias malichas kaved in basar? To go ahead and the sukkah puts them together. To go ahead and be to do tzliya with chal, or you salt it together because it needs melicha with other meat. Dino kadin tzliya so melichas kaved in basar. It's the same thing as by kaved, and therefore you shouldn't do it. Some say you can go ahead and do melicha. You can do melicha with other meat because on top of it. It's the chachil. It's also unless if it's on top, right? Because we said before, it's sli on top. The juices go down. So to melicha k'raseach. So to melicha, it drips down. But and that's the first shita. But if you put it underneath, it's okay. The second shita holds that even on top, it's a b'diavad is also okay. That because you say the Shach explains that by kaved dam does come out, but we're making by chal the melicha won't be enough to take out the milk, only bishul, maybe tzli hagav ein lemahalcho in basar. You shouldn't do it with any basar. Don't salt it together with any other meat. But with the eved b'chol in your mutter, again, with the eved, it's okay. Or hakeba, the achar shehusar chelbo. If you have or hakeba, again, the keba is where you make cheese.
We're talking about halal.
Right. Or hakeba achar shehusar chelbo musocha. You take a chalavo, right? You take out the milk out of it. Hudach yeshlo din sharbasar. Again, it's a similar. We're comparing it to kachal, and again, that milk we said before is not real milk because it's partially digested. So therefore, again, it doesn't make this piece of meat into basar b'chalav.
This is more. This is even less.
Right. V'hudach yeshel din b'shar basar u'mutar l'malchim shar basar ein lo din chal klal. This is more makel because it's not embedded. There's no milk ducts or whatever. It's just there's milk inside of it, but it's just like a pocket. It's like a kli or whatever. And if you, once you
I think the milk.
and the milk itself is not right. It's also you don't. We said before you shouldn't leave it because maybe because of kavush, but al kopanim, it's not. It's never nechshav a basar b'chalav.
Yet there's no din of kriya or shasad.
No. You just drain it out. Yeah, wash it out. Whatever. I don't know. There's no din. There's no din of that. We'll just start Tzadi Aleph to Shem starting first sif. Starting into the actual dinim of basa v'cholav of blias. Basa gvina shenagos zebazeh mutarim. If you have a cold piece of meat and a cold piece of cheese that touch each other, they're mutar. El shetzarech lahadiach makav negiyasan, but you need to wash it off. Mutar lotzur oisav pachas achas. You can go ahead and hold it in one bag. V'lo chashinan shema yagu b'zeh, and we're not choshish that they're going to touch. Now, okay, that's not talking about a shopping bag, because shopping bag they're all to touch in the bottom. But if you wrap it up in a like a handkerchief, a cloth, towel, whatever, so it's more tightly wrapped. It's not going to touch. The point being is that we're machmir that if they touch, if they, we'll see about if it's yavesh, if it's dry, whatever. But if they're both if they're moist or one of them is moist, then it gets one on the other, and therefore you have to wash it up. So to a person it should be makpid. There are people who are makpid never to go shopping, never to put meat in the same bag as cheese. So even if they're packaged in plastic and it's okay. But if you have, let's say one's a bit open, they're both sealed, it's fine. But if let's say one, you have a thing of chopped liver, you have a thing of a container, or you buy fresh meat, right? And there's always juice coming out and whatever. You throw it in the bag with cheese, again, in a varosha, if there's actual cheese, it doesn't be a problem. But let's say I would think even the package, if it's going to drip on the package, and it's happening, whatever, and you're not going to realize, cut the package open, it's going to get on the cheese. Again, all these things, the person, the point over here, the reason it's mutter is because it's not going to touch at all. But if there's a possibility at some point it's going to touch, I'm just okay. That's just chomer ba'alma. Not if it's sealed cheese, it's fine. I'm just saying, but there's a lot of the place could talk about trying to be very careful about not coming to go ahead and to put it together in a spot which is wet. That's the idea of putting it on a milk straight on a flitcha counter, or vice versa, because maybe it's dirty there. It's this, whatever. It's straight. I'm talking about there's a plate, but straight on the counter because it might need hadacha. We'll see. It's a phase really.
Careful not to use that spot in the pachat. It's a little strange that you're allowed to use the same piece of cloth.
Right, but the point is because they're not going to touch. Obviously, if a thing was really wet and drippy and it would absorb, I don't know, but that's called touching.
We're not concerned about the reuse of it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, the cloth, or
Yeah.
I don't know. The cloth.
Wrap tomorrow's food in.
I don't know about the cloth. The cloth could be you have to wash. I don't know. That's something else. I don't know. That I'm not sure about. That I don't know if we discuss. But the place can say, but if they're both dry completely, or if they're both in the package or they're both whatever, you don't have to worry at all. If one's wet and one's whatever, so then that's when you have to worry. Okay, we'll stop here.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay.